Hello, Mike Haas with another From the Press Box and another From the Press Box from the location of the game. Last week it was Carolina. Today it is Boston. And certainly what a difference a week makes. Just like we said after the Packers game and the Carolina game, what a difference a week makes. The Saints come into Foxborough and Gillette Stadium, dominate offensively to get ahead, and then the defense dominates as well with 3 turnovers. They come out of it with a big win, 28-13, to get to 2-1. And now the best sentence that is coming, they're coming home to play a game against the New York Giants, who lost. They are 0-3. But to really come through this stretch, irrespective of who they played and how they played, to come through this stretch 2-1, heading home to play a home game against the Giants, a real home game, not a Jacksonville home game. Impressive. Still a lot of question marks. This is not a finished product by any means, but as you bring in Jeff Nowak, I mean, it was just things kind of fell their way. I've never seen so many long drives and just really overall, if you think of just if you take out the Carolina game and look at the Green Bay game, how many sustained drives the Saints have had, and defensively coming up with the plays when they need it. But really, when I look back at this game, I will think of very little other than the Malcolm Jenkins interception, which is such a huge flip of the game. And then the Deontay Harris, when they needed first down, they got it on the 3rd and 11, and then he got another first down that led to the Taysom touchdown. Man, just when it looked like the momentum was switching, the Saints got it right back with those plays.
Yeah, I mean, I think what you saw today is a little bit of what I had been saying a lot in the offseason, which was there are a lot of question marks on the offensive side of the ball with the injuries and the health and the availability of guys like Will Lutz and Michael Thomas. But this defense is a title caliber defense. And all you really need to be able to do to win games, especially in the regular season, is play complementary football. The Saints did that in the first half, and they did it throughout in the sense of not turning the ball over. But what you saw in the second half felt like, and I think you have a much better indication from being there live, is that defense was on the field the entire second half. The Saints ran 5 plays in the third quarter. And that drive where the Patriots kind of went downfield and Kendrick Bourne had that crazy tightrope touchdown. I mean, I think you started to see the defense. They were playing well. They were getting tired. I mean, that's what happens if you leave your defense on the field the entire game. And it did feel like if they didn't convert that third down, they were going to be in trouble, and you were going to have to hope the defense could make force another turnover or something, because it really felt like the die was cast in that regard. But they, obviously they were able to sustain that drive. But it did feel a little bleak there after that touchdown.
Right. Well, they just hadn't been on the field, like you say. I don't think I'd have to go back and look. I know I don't think that I've ever been involved in a 16-play, 82-yard, 9 minutes and 5-second drive that ended in a field goal. I mean, that's a quarter almost. And the Patriots kick a field goal to make it 21-6. But, I think you're right. The defense was on the field so much, but came up with the problem with the second half that I have is that it shouldn't have been that way, right? I mean, they dominated the first half, long drives, 5 minutes and 16, 10-play drives, miss a field goal. So instead of 10-0, it's 7-0. Blocked punt where you can really kind of flip the momentum, missed field goal. And so when it could have been 13 and really forcing New England into what we saw in the second half, where what did Mac Jones? 50 passes, 30 of 51. Yep. I mean, there's no way in any Bill Belichick game plan where it says Mac Jones throws 50-plus passes and we're going to win the game. And so they shouldn't have had to have come to that in the second half with him throwing so many passes. So it's like a weird dichotomy of special teams awesome and then special teams not so good. Will Lutz is at least available to come back. I thought Taysom Hill made some phenomenal plays. I mean, he's averaging 5.3 yards a carry. He was, carried it 6 times, and the touchdown will, that leap that we saw. And then the interceptions. I think the Saints. I have to go back to the Green Bay Packer game. So the Saints had 3 interceptions today for a total of 100 yards, and one of them was a touchdown. That took 9 seconds. And so I know in the Packer game they had 2 picks, and they were both long as well. I don't know if there's ever a stat of interception return yardage, but 100 yards and 3 interceptions is significant. You won't see it in the stat book. I thought Cam Jordan played phenomenally well today. Little things, catching Mac Jones, as he was leaving the pocket, tipping a pass, just little things that you see. And you talked about this defense and Tano passing y'all back. I mean, when he's rushing a quarterback, I can't imagine what Mac Jones sees. He's 6'7". He just comes at you he just sees like a shadow, like the sun's there, and he goes, "Oh, I can't." There's no way to get around him or get
Right.
It just looks so intimidating. It was just a big win. I just really think this ability to go on the road, been through what they've been through. They came to Boston early, a day early, smart, and I think just the fact that they knew they were going home, man, I felt like it was more. It had more of the atmosphere of Green Bay than it did Carolina, where it just felt like, wait, what's wrong? Something's wrong. Adjust the speed a little bit. We're off, and it didn't feel like that today.
Yeah, defense travels. That's always going to be there. Last week they had a lot of guys out, but yeah, I mean, getting Marshawn back, getting CJ back, getting Tano back.
Yeah, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. That guy, he was in a ton of plays, and even the plays that that New England completed, it wasn't like it was bad coverage. It was good coverage. Demario Davis, I mean, that guy. I mean, I don't know. You run out of accolades to talk about, but he just makes such big plays when he has to. He's been so durable. He and Cam both. And I think we didn't focus at all on the defense really last week just because things looked so bad. And we said, well, special teams look good, but really the defense against the run, has been unbelievable. I think Mac Jones was the leading rusher, right? Leading rusher for their team. 6 carries, 28 yards for 47 yards. And James White got hurt, but Damian Harris has been, he's been the guy. They ended up using Brandon Bolden and J.J. Taylor. But being able to stop the run, as we know and saw in Carolina, changes the team's, MO.
For sure. And you brought up Taysom Hill a little bit. I think we actually had talked earlier in the offseason about, what's going to happen with Jameis Winston and Taysom Hill. And one of the things that I expected to see was the one-off snaps are going to start turning into, maybe not an entire series, but you're going to get 4 or 5 snaps in a row. You're going to start seeing more of a Taysom Hill offense incorporated when it is a distinct advantage. And that's what happened today. When you go back and watch it, this was the first time we have seen, outside of that 3-game stretch last year, Taysom Hill run, I don't know how many snaps it was, might have been 4, down at the goal line there, and they couldn't stop him. At the tail end of a long drive, at the tail end of a grinding game, to have this guy show up and just pound the ball down your throat like a wrecking ball, that's not easy to stop, and the Patriots couldn't do it. And
especially when it was the same play. They ran the same play. Power right.
Complicated because you know what you're going to do, and you're going to just pound it, down their throat, and they did, and it worked. They even tried a little jump pass that didn't work, but he still got a first down.
I kind of like the play though. My thought was I felt like it was too far out. I think they were on the 9. I don't think I've ever seen that play run so far back. I mean, normally, again, we see that play and we talk about Tebow in Florida. It was always on the 2, 3, you're really going to run and then it's a jump pass. He really would have had to make a jump throw from the 9. So, but I love the play because, again, it just, for whatever, now it's in people's minds, in defenses' minds moving forward.
They have to plan for it. And
right.
I give him all the credit in the world because he's not in a very good situation just in terms of, he spent the whole offseason fighting to be the starting quarterback, and now he's being asked to do all of these Swiss Army knife things again. And he's the ultimate team player, so it's impossible to not be happy to see him succeed in that situation, because he's done everything that's been asked of him, and he's continuing to do it, and it's been great. I do think that the Saints have a reckoning in the kicking game that they're going to have to figure out, because this game should not have been close. I mean, It was a one-score game in the fourth quarter. The only reason it was a one-score game is because you can forgive the 52-yarder, right? The missed field goal.
Yep.
You can't forgive misses like that inside of 40. The guy looked like he couldn't have hit it from anywhere. He did make his extra points, which I've always been fascinated by, how much easier it is for kickers to make extra points than it is to make a 33-yard field goal. It's the same distance. But that's going to be an issue, and they're going to have to figure it out. And if Will Lutz can come back next week, he's eligible to come back. That doesn't mean he's healthy. So they're going to have to figure something out, because I don't think pros out there.
I mean, he and this is, I am not a football coach. I'm not a special teams coach. I'm watching this game. It looks to me like he's catching it and too much in mid ball. His kicks are low, all of them. I'm like, there's no reason for these kicks to feel so low, like line drives. He's not. And again, I don't know jack about that, but I'm watching. I go, wow, that just feels like, for that short a kick, we're getting a lot of mid ball, which sometimes can cause you to hook it a little bit. And that's, he pulled one, he hooked one, and pulled one, and had a little hook on it.
You can tell by the way it was coming off his foot, it wasn't good. It wasn't going end over end at all. It was like wobbling like a knuckleball. If you make those, you're lucky to make them. That's not how they're trying to kick them.
Right.
And that's what was happening. And it's just, kicking is such a confidence thing. It's kind of like hitting a driver. And
I talked about during the broadcast. I'm like, think of Nick Folk. So he gets signed by the Patriots. He comes in. He's trying to make this impression with Bill Belichick. He comes in 2020, misses his first two. I mean, I'm sure he's like, well, this was nice. I enjoyed my stay here. And he hasn't missed since. He hasn't missed since 35 straight. Now he did, because you said it, he missed an extra point last week. But in field goals, he hasn't missed since he missed his first two in 2020, and he's been perfect since. And now he has, he's getting close to the NFL record. Already has the Patriots record. So who knows? I mean, you're right, but it's just disheartening that game, 14-3 at half, could have been 20-3, right? And that changes things a little bit. And so, and no kicker is going to make them all, but hopefully that Will Lutz can come back and change things up.
Yeah, I mean, and it changes the entire way you approach your offense when you're not confident that you can kick that field goal. And that kind of leads me into my question for you, which was, what was your call on the Jameis Winston? I'm trying to throw it away, but accidentally get it to Marquez Callaway in the back of the end zone touchdown pass.
I think it was he threw it up. I can't remember what I said. I can barely remember anything. I said he threw it up, but it wasn't a terrible. Like, if you look at it in slow motion, the fact that he was able to throw the ball with any velocity to me was startling, and that I kind of felt like the way he threw it, which, again, if this had been picked off, we'd be having a totally different conversation. But he threw it in an area where maybe Marquez was going to be the guy to jump and catch it. It wasn't like anybody else was going to catch it because it was on that side. So, I mean, it's like it worked. And so we'll say he improvised. It doesn't work. It would have been a different ball game. But, sometimes he's had a good opportunities to avoid rush and move out of the pocket and get out. And sometimes he kind of gets stuck in there, like it's a half a beat too long, and he gets stuck or sacked or he can't get out. That one was luck. And so, I look back at it, and it was not horrible. And again, the fact that he was able to get anything behind it was pretty impressive.
Yeah, and my reaction to it was kind of, so I was watching the broadcast. I apologize. I was watching the broadcast at that point.
It's
And,
okay. It's okay.
And so my reaction was kind of initially like, he looked like he had planned to kind of just give Callaway a chance, which is the throw you make if you're aware that it's a free play, because it was a free play. There was a foul called on Patriots. And I expected him to come out after the game and say, okay, yeah, I saw the flag down. I gave Marquez a chance, and he came down with it. If he did, there's no benefit of taking the sack there, because if you throw an interception, you're gonna reset anyway. Right. But it was one of the most honest answers I've ever heard, which was he just came out and said, like, yeah, I was throwing it away. I screwed up. Because he had intended to just chuck that ball out of bounds. He actually didn't get enough on it, which is why it ended up being kind of a perfect little jump ball that Callaway was able to get. But I think that not going to endear himself to the Sean Paytons of the world.
Right. I mean, he was trying to do the right thing. But yeah, it's just, I feel like he's in the pocket. It's just that half a beat. I'm fine with you throwing it away. I'm fine with you running for, to use your legs as long as you slide. But I feel like we're in that kind of zone of we're thinking about it. He climbs the pocket very well to try to find somebody. And then you either you climb the pocket, there's still nobody. You either got to run, or throw it away. One of those two things. And so, it's a work in progress. Game 3, we saw Mac Jones as a rookie. We're seeing Jameis with a new offense and a lot of new players, and asking some receivers to step up, and Marquez did, Deontay did, and so we still need. I haven't seen a lot of the tight ends, Jawan Johnson and Troutman. Just have not seen a lot. I know Johnson got in the doghouse, if I recall, just cut off on a route early in the game, and didn't see him back into the game for quite some time. But you got to get these tight ends are going to have to be a factor in these games.
Yeah, and as you said earlier, as I'm thinking about it, I guarantee you, if you went back and you looked at return yards and interception yards, they will vastly outnumber the offensive yards.
Oh my gosh! I've never seen that. Yeah, 100 yards in interceptions, returns, and you cannot downplay what the impact, even though they didn't get points, the impact of a blocked field goal last week and a blocked punt this week. That's Dan Rizzi and that unit, cobbled together, and JT Gray and Ty Montgomery, both of those guys were the Patriots were making a fair catch, and those guys were standing in front of him. Had he not made the fair catch, they would have unloaded on him.
Yeah, I think a lot of teams say next man up. The Saints kind of embody next man up, especially
I agree.
In a couple of weeks.
Well, I know they're looking forward to being home for the Giants game. We're going to talk a lot more about this game with Saints head coach Sean Payton on the Saints Coaches Show. That's at 6:30 tonight on WWL AM FM and the Odyssey app. This will also be, of course, along the Saints radio network. Not sure exactly who the assistant coach will be. Last week it was Rizzi with the special teams, and so we'll have to wait and see. Later on today we'll get that person, but he's got some people to choose from on this one. Still 3 coaches who are out, so we know it won't be them. Won't be Rauscher talking about the tight ends, but we'll wait and see. But what a big win on the road against the Patriots and Bill Belichick to get to 2-1, to come home to face the 0-3 Giants and really start to get some momentum going forward for this football team, and to sleep in your own bed, which quite frankly sounds like a good deal as well for me.